Hey there, Minnesota Vikings fans. Welcome to the Purple People podcast. We are going to be your therapy session for the day. The Vikings lost to the Colts. I'm accompanied by Adam Carlson.
Hi.
Hey, sounding good. You got the new microphone. You got the new computer. You're a
I do.
rockin'
It's a
sir.
constant struggle to keep improving all the time, and that's what we got going on here.
It always is. And we got Kyle Smith. How's it going?
Seen better days as a Vikings
Yeah.
fan, but I'm here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it looks like we got Tommy Gunn in the chat with us already. Welcome.
He's always a nice addition. We always got quite a few that join in once the show gets rolling a little bit. I know it takes a little bit for those notifications to go out and people to hop in, but we always appreciate the people that can join us live. Makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, we hope you're subscribed to us on YouTube. Cheap plug. If you are, you will get the notifications when we go live.
Absolutely. And I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 231 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Luck Tales, a woo-woo. Maybe no woo-woo, but you know.
I like it.
Luck Tales still.
There's a DuckTales revival that is going to be coming out, and I'm actually really super excited for it. I love that
I
cartoon.
don't think you can go wrong with it. I really don't. I think that's one that will survive.
David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck. I mean, come on. That's some good stuff right there.
That is fun, for sure. Let's jump into the quick hits, because even though it looks like we don't have many, I wrote way too much on most of them, and they don't look very quick. So, of course, the big news of this week as far as the Minnesota Vikings was that Adrian Peterson was designated the player to return from IR, and then he went on the radio and said that he will be playing against the Colts, and then the team promoted him to the active roster, and they did make him active, but when they promoted Adrian Peterson to the active roster, they released Toby Johnson, who just signed a 3-year deal to spread out his salary cap over the next 3 years so they don't put themselves in danger going over. So the Vikings got Adrian Peterson back, and hopefully Toby Johnson some way or not get picked up somewhere else, because I like that guy.
Seems like a good young player. I don't know, even though it seems kind of shitty to say now, but I'm glad that Adrian came back. I know you guys probably won't agree with that, but I'm glad to see him come back. We're probably winding down to the tail end of his time in Minnesota, so.
Yeah, we could be watching the last games of him. You never know, considering that huge cap hit, the complete ineffectiveness of the offense when running. It's just proof that this team isn't based around pounding the football anymore. So they're going to have to change their focus up and do something else. But still, it's great to see Adrian make such a fast and full recovery. He looked pretty good in the game as far as his ability to cut and shift his weight around. So
for sure,
good to see. The bad news is fans of tight end Michael Pruitt had to say goodbye to him as the Chicago Bears sniped him from the practice squad.
Oh no! I felt like a bad Vikings fan because I actually thought he was on the active roster. I realized that they had stashed him on the practice squad. I was a fan of Pruitt. I think he shows good potential. That's a good signing by Chicago.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, he can be a real weapon. He's a good blocker. He's got nice hands. The problem with him is that health, and that, I think, is why the Vikings thought they could sneak him by on the practice squad. The Bears have a lot of questions at tight end going forward, and a guy like Pruitt can only really help that situation.
Yeah, I mean, if healthy, I honestly like him a little bit more than Rhett Ellison.
Yeah,
actually, just in terms of what he can do on the field. But, Rhett does tend to stay healthy, and he's kind of a grinder for the team. So, I'm a Rhett Ellison fan, too. I don't mean to knock him. But, if I had to pick between the two, I probably would have picked Pruitt. But, not staying healthy, it is what it is.
Yeah, and earlier when Sharif Floyd was... Oh, go ahead.
I hate it when guys like that go in the division. It's always... I just want to see it go anywhere but there. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say that.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Like when Jared Allen went to Chicago, that sucked. You go anywhere, Jared, when you go to Chicago. Yeah,
that didn't feel good at all. But to replace Pruitt being signed by the Bears and Sharif Floyd being placed on IR, the Vikings brought in tight end Kyle Carter and offensive lineman Marquise Lucas.
Yeah, those are players.
And if I were a betting man, I would bet that one of them might get released here soon so that Toby Johnson can come back. Just a thought, but you never know.
It's a very Rick Spielman thing to do.
The OL shuffle, you gotta love it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff all over the place. In the chat, we have Tommy Gunn agreeing that Mike Hull was a great prospect, but the injury was rough, and that's very true. Let's get into some of the charitable work the guys have been doing lately. Stefan Diggs teamed up with the Minnesota Vikings and CenturyLink to help present more than $30,000 worth of technology to underserved, not undeserved.
There you
go. They probably
Adam.
are undeserved, those darn kids these days. That lack of respect, I tell you. But that's a rant for a different time. To underserved youth and provided new equipment for a revamped recording studio, which is part of Pillsbury United Community's PBS News Lab. Now, I know that a lot of those words mean a lot to people in Minnesota or people that listen to the radio down there or watch TV or whatever it is, but that last part was kind of like foreign to me. I don't get a lot of that. Because to me, Pillsbury means like muffins and biscuits.
Yes, that's what I thought of.
Good biscuits, though.
But either way, it's great to see Stefan Diggs. He went to the school to do this service, and he stuck around afterwards to catch a basketball game from the girls' basketball team at the high school. It was really pretty cool, the whole story. Yeah, there's a little bit about that up on the Viking Age, and there's a story about it on the Viking Ages or on the official Viking website as well. Also, we've got Joe Berger, Cordell Patterson, Jeremiah Sarles, David Morgan, Anthony Harris, Mackenzie Alexander, and Trey Robertson, as well as Vikings legends Dave Osborne, Ricky Young, Bob Lutzma, John Turner, and Benny Sapp, as well as General Manager Rick Spielman and Vice President of Football Operations Rob Brzezinski, all going to the Vikings Adoption Fun Fest. And I know that the Adoption Fun Fest isn't something that gets a ton of attention in the media, but finding homes for kids in need is just a fantastic thing. And for the Vikings to go out and to bring forth this many players to help attract people to the event and be able to bring attention to how many kids out there need the help and have a place for people to go to get information regarding how to adopt. It is pretty big.
Okay. At what point did Benny Sapp become a Vikings legend, Adam?
Hey, I just read it as listed on the Vikings official website. So
okay, so Benny Sapp getting his number retired and going up in the Ring of Honor.
I like Benny Sapp.
I liked Benny Sapp too. A Vikings legend or just
former
Vikings player. Former Minnesota Viking.
Yeah, legend might be stretching it a little bit, but I got no problem with that.
Like Randy Moss, Fran Tarkenton, Benny Sapp. Maybe a little larger.
Now, Dave Osborne, sure. Bob Lutzma, all right. Mm-hmm. Benny Sapp, maybe. Probably not. But, it's all right.
Hey, it's for a good... I'm just teasing. It's for a good cause. So it's cool to see that he is still, working within the community and the team and stuff too. So that's cool. I like that.
Absolutely. Some starters, main roster people, some practice squad people, lots of guys from the ownership showing up. It's really is great.
Tommy Gunn said we should take a drink every time someone says, "This is a guy." Do we say that a lot?
Probably.
This is a guy. Probably. I don't know. I'm going to now.
Oh, yeah. Making a point to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Rudolph hosted the Holiday Huddle on Tuesday at the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. More players are there, so here's another list.
Vikings
Sam Bradford,
legends.
Jeff Locke, David Morgan, Nick Easton, Zach Kieran, Willie Beavers, and Cedric Thompson, in addition to Vikings alumni. I know you like that word better than legends.
I do.
Ryan Hogue, Tyrone Carter, and that guy I can't pronounce.
Tuwino Apalate? No, Alapet. I don't know. That's, yep. Yeah, we'll give you a shout out if you can give the proper enunciation.
Spell it out to us phonetically there in the chat, and we'll help out what we can. But it's another situation where football players are using their celebrity and fame to help bring attention to situations of children in need, help raise money, and just bring smiles to people's faces. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, Illuminati confirmed. Not those kind of Masons, Tommy. That's wrong kind.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
The Illuminati kids that's something I don't know if I want to think about. That's like a horror movie in the making right there.
We could use some Illuminati help on this team, the way they're playing right now.
We had some more good charitable stuff going on with Anthony Barr holding a holiday party fundraiser for single moms. As you know, Anthony Barr's foundation is set up to help single moms attend college. And it really is a fantastic thing because that's how he grew up, is with his mom alone. And they worked together to help accomplish what they could, and now he wants to turn around and help those other single moms because he saw his struggling so much to get by. I love when celebrities come out, celebrities, athletes, whoever, and support causes that mean a lot to them. To me, that's fantastic.
I agree. For some reason, every time I think of Anthony Barr, I always think of that creepy subway bust that they made of him. His rookie season. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about? That image is just like burned permanently into my mind.
Well, I had forgotten about that until now, so thanks.
Well, there you go. The Anthony Barr subway head. Weird.
It's a lot of vegetables.
It was not pleasant.
We got some bad news, though. Former Vikings player and offensive coordinator Bob Schnelker passed away at the age of 88. I know he's not someone that a lot of fans think of when they think of the Minnesota Vikings, but as a player and a coach, he did have a pretty good impact on the team, and it's sad to see these guys go. But at least at 88, he got to live a pretty long life compared to a lot of the current players' life expectancies.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounded grim.
It is. You can't blame me for being a little doom and gloom right now.
Mm-hmm.
But let's keep moving on because now we're into some quick hits.
Some positive stuff. Brian Robinson had his 100th career game start.
Yeah, Brian Robinson, 100 career games started. That is definitely a big milestone.
You know, with the emergence of Danielle Hunter from last year, I didn't see B-Rob being as effective, but he's had a pretty solid season so far.
He said his goal is to reach double-digit sacks for the first time in his career.
What's his total at for the season?
I want to say 7.
I'll tell you shortly. Give me about 30 seconds. I'm in the Viking app already.
But I know Danielle Hunter has already reached 10, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
That is correct.
Well, sacks
I think
all
that
over
Brian,
the place then.
well, you're looking at
stat. Brian Robinson, not counting today, because I believe Andrew Luck did not get sacked today.
He did not. Yep,
so
7.
He's got 2 more games to get 3. Close.
It's doable.
Could happen.
Doable.
Very well could happen. You never know.
I think he still has a future with the team, not to side tangent too much here, but I think we're looking at maybe more of a road forward. But I definitely think he'll be with the team for another couple seasons. He can do that Chad Greenway thing and kind of play in a reduced role as a rotation, come out there. He's proven that he can play a little bit inside as well as outside if needed. So he's got a role on this team for another couple seasons.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I like his sack dance. The old bait and hook with the fish reel. That's
reel him in. And what's fun is if you follow him on Instagram or whatever, you're going to see some cool pictures of the fish that he catches and his boat and stuff like that.
Football. It's crazy.
But you kind of got to weave through it a little bit because he's got some sponsored stuff. Like he'll pimp some of the gear that or energy drinks or whatever they ask him to do. But if you can get through that, you'll be all right.
That paycheck, I'd do the same thing. I'd endorse the hell out of anything.
Right?
I would.
Now, before the Vikings Week 15 game against the Indianapolis Colts, Carl Lee blew the Gyar horn. That was he played with the Vikings for 11 seasons with Minnesota. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler, 29 interceptions in his career. A fantastic choice, in my opinion. I always love when they get these former players, Ring of Honor players, to come in and do their thing. It really is a great honor.
Pretty cool, man. That's a lot of interceptions.
It is. It really is, especially considering when he played. I mean, back then it wasn't the insane number of passes that we see in today's NFL.
Right.
It's got to keep that into consideration as well.
This next one's probably my favorite quick hit of the week.
All right, so the Minnesota Vikings are going to play a road game next year in London against the Cleveland Browns during week 7 or 8 of the season. Now, this won't be the big one at Wembley. This will be at a little smaller stadium, but it should be packed full of fans. And believe it or not, the UK, especially London and England, there's a pretty big amount of Vikings supporters over there.
Yeah, we have someone on our podcast Facebook page that when I posted this up commented that he's really looking forward to this because he lives over there in London and like this is his first opportunity to get a chance to see the Vikings in person. So I think that's really cool. At first when they started doing this London series, I wasn't a big fan of it, but it's not really an issue. Is what I thought it was going to be with like the travel and stuff. And it's like, you go over there early, you give your team time to adjust. And I've never really noticed a drop in the quality of play or anything from either team. About the only complaint that you can have for it is that, some team is going to lose a home game, to go over play in London. That does suck, especially for Minnesota, who just built, a big fancy stadium. So you want to have as many home games as possible at it. But, it's a road game, so it works out. I think it's fun. I think it's cool for the fans that are, over in another part of the world to get an opportunity to see the Vikings or, whatever team they cheer for.
Yeah, it's always good to expand that fan base, opening up opportunities to get fans from other places. Because let's be honest, right now the Vikings are the NFL's main priority. People are complaining, why aren't they sending the Cowboys or the Patriots or those other teams over to London? Well, the reason is the NFL wants to build the fan bases of these small market teams.
That's exactly it.
So instead of sending, giving them the Pats and the Cowboys or, the Giants and Pittsburgh Steelers, something like that. They're going to try to build up these other fan bases over there so that there's more of a balance as far as fans. They can distribute their revenue a little more equally, that sort of thing. And it really is a good way to kind of level out the NFL in a way. And that's another reason why I absolutely love the fact that the UK seems to embrace the Minnesota Vikings. That and me picturing hot British women with that British accent wearing a Vikings jersey, that works for me. But that's just me. I know that might not be you guys, but it does the trick.
I mean,
no, that's me too. Yeah.
I mean, I think they've been testing the waters with, a market over there, and I think they've found that there's support for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they either eventually move a team or, get an expansion team over there in that London market.
I would prefer London over Mexico, to be honest.
Those fans were brutal against the Texans in that game. Brutal.
I actually think it would be cool, they call it the National Football League, to have a team in London and then to have a team, up in Canada somewhere because, Canada has enough support, I think, with the CFL that you can maybe get a team in, like, Toronto or something like that. I think that would be cool.
Tommy Gunn talking about the Germany Unicorns.
I like it. The only issue I have with that is if you start a franchise over there, you have to give teams ample time off. Like after this game, we're going to be the team that has a bye. So is Cleveland because we had to travel. So how are you going to keep giving teams time off? You're not going to be able to. So that's going to be an unavoidable time off as far as bye weeks go. But like you said, a couple of years ago, we played the Steelers over there and we won. I was so surprised to see how much purple filled that stadium.
Oh, yes.
You don't think about it soccer is very, very, very popular in Europe. It's the most popular sport in the world, and you don't think about American football taking over, but there was a lot of support a couple years ago. Adrian had a good game. Matt Castle was still the quarterback, and it's kind of a down year for us, but that was a fun game. So it was a lot of positives, even though I'm against the idea most of the time. I do see the perks of it, so it's just pretty cool. I'm just happy this year we don't lose a home game.
Yes,
that's only in our favor.
That is the main priority to look at right here.
And we're playing the Browns, so I'm just throwing that out there. But
now the Vikings did go on Twitter, and they said that this was going to be either week 7 or 8 of the NFL season. I was surprised to see them respond to someone on Twitter and say that it will either be October 22nd or October 29th. Now, you can take that and you can look and say, okay, that's week 7 and 8 of the NFL season. And you can go backwards and you can figure out when the start of the season will be. So that means that the NFL season will kick off on Thursday, September 7th. But with the Vikings will probably be opening on Sunday, which will be September 10th.
Illuminati.
About right. I think, didn't we start this year on the 11th, or was it before then?
I think it's around that time. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds about right.
That's pretty good investigative work. That's pretty cool. I'm surprised that they said what week it would be, but that, you know what the best thing about that is too, like I said, after you travel, you have to have the bye week afterward to recover for travel time and all that good stuff. So that's almost in the middle of the pack for us to get our bye week, which is what you want. You know, it's not a week 4 or week 5 bye, which is awesome.
Yeah, if it's a week 8 or 9 bye, I'm happy with that.
I mean, hey, solutions really quick. Potentially, maybe the NFL could do something where, you know, you extend the season and every team gets 2 bye weeks. You know, you give them an additional week off.
Yeah, if they eliminated part of the preseason, which they had talked about doing, that's always a possibility.
I would honestly say even if you keep the preseason at 4 games and then, like, you move a team out to London and then, like, just every team in the NFL gets, you know, 2 weeks off throughout the course of it. You know, players get healthy. And I don't know. Anyway, that's a good off-season topic to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we'll have plenty of time to talk about the UK series and probably even the Pro Bowl and stuff, because right now the Vikings' playoff chances and future for the 2017 NFL season not looking so great. As we know, the Vikings lost against the Colts earlier today, and now they are eliminated from the NFC North title race, which means it's a 2-horse race there between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Minnesota will need to cling on and try to hope for a wild card spot, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, they were mentioning a lot in the game today. Even if with a loss today, we're not mathematically eliminated. Now, I got curious earlier in the week, and I just Googled, what are the Vikings' playoff chances? 1 in 5 decimal percentage, that's 20% chance earlier this week. We had everything in our favor today. Detroit leads the division. They lost to the New York Giants. We actually beat the Giants earlier in the season. I know that feels like forever ago. The Packers almost lost to the Bears, which is crazy. And we had everything in our favor. We just didn't play well, which we're going to talk about here in a couple seconds. But now it's up to other teams that we have to get in, plus we have to beat Green Bay and Chicago. So we're not out of it technically, but now we don't have the ball in our court, as some would say. It's not up to us now. Our fate is not in our hands, which is really disappointing.
Especially
Absolutely
after that
true.
5-0 start.
Yeah, it's not been a good second
really
half of the season whatsoever.
I hate situations like this where it's like now you have to hope for this team to lose and this team to win or whatever to happen and win out and hope you. I hate that shit. Like that. Good teams don't do that. Like the Patriots don't do that.
No, that's definitely rough.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the game review. Minnesota Vikings, Indianapolis Colts. Crushing defeat. 34-6. Vikings only scored twice, 2 Kai Forbath field goals. Let's take a look and run down the list here. Sam Bradford had a fairly accurate day again, 32 for 42. Threw 2 interceptions, 291 yards. He was sacked 5 times, though, which is not good.
A lot of those stats, in my opinion, are garbage time stats that came. I mean, this game was over at the beginning of the 4th quarter. So you look at a lot of these stats, and I think they look good on paper, where you go, well, he had 291 yards and whatever. It's like, well, a lot of those don't really count, in my opinion.
A lot of padding there in the passing game, especially considering the Vikings only ran the ball 9 times. Jerick McKinnon 3 times for 12 yards, and Adrian Peterson 6 times for 22 yards, one of those going for 13.
And then he fumbled.
He sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Yeah, it was a sloppy game. And I'll be honest with you. You guys said it. We always talk. You guys know, listening to the show, the listeners, Kyle, Adam, and myself, we always have a chat going between the 3 of us. The consensus today was just there was no fire from the get-go. No. The first couple of runs, when I saw Frank Gore kind of pounding, I was like, well, we're usually really good at stopping the run. And then once Andrew Luck started beating us in the middle of the field, it just you kind of had that feeling it was going to be a long day, and that's what it was. Our asset on the team is the defense, and the defense was on the field way too long. The offense didn't help. Time of possession killed us. But just to sum it up, I didn't see a spark today, especially at home. It was really odd.
It was really frustrating. I just got done talking with my friend Mike, big Vikings fan that I talked to throughout the week about the team. And we had both kind of thought that even if Adrian had a shitty performance, that just having his star power on the team, that it should give him an extra spark, and like they should, because throughout the week, like Sam Bradford was talking about how cool it was to have him out on the field, and everyone's like, got that extra little bit of motivation. And so we both kind of thought that, even if Adrian doesn't do well, just having him on the field should, be extra motivation for everyone else. And they just looked flat out there, just completely flat.
So very true. Offensive line failed to get a push. They gave up way too many pressures and sacks, which leads into my donkey of the week, which is TJ Clemmings. And there's a reason he is the worst ranked starting offensive tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm. What did they say during the telecast today? At 27-something Pro Football Focus?
I don't remember, but I know it's bad.
He's awful. And I hate that. I hate saying that, because I know he's had to shuffle and play around. Right. But this is gonna lead into what I'm gonna talk about later for a bold statement. But would you guys be surprised if he's gone next year? He's played terrible.
I'd be surprised if he's on the team.
I don't know. I would love to see what he can do when he can settle into one position. But right now, he did an admirable job of filling in at right tackle, which is a more suitable position for him because he doesn't have that footwork or agility or side-to-side motion to really be that, dancing bear style left tackle that most teams really want.
And he also doesn't get hurt.
Who was it that you showed that said his major asset is that he doesn't get injured?
Yeah, someone tweeted that, and I thought it was really super funny.
Oh,
and it's true. Like, his biggest asset to the team is not getting injured, which honestly, maybe he does warrant a roster spot for that next season.
Now, I'm sure this percentage went down today with the interception, and there were 10 incompletions. Sam Bradford threw the ball 42 times, completed 32 passes, 291 yards. He had an average of 6.9 yards per attempt, which is still low. I'm just going to go on a mini rant here. First of all, I didn't see anything on Twitter today about it. If you think that Sam Bradford is a problem with his team, I revoke your license to be a fan. Go be someone. Go follow the Jaguars. Sam Bradford's not the problem with his team. Like I said, I'm going to get into some stuff later, but the line is not doing its job consistently. Last week, Adam had mentioned it to me. They did a new protective scheme. We talked about it before this game. They had a lineup that was supposed to be set up for success. They got pushed around today. They got bullied and overpowered. That caused Bradford to have a few incompletions. He almost had a second interception on the day. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. We have a great set of skill players, but we don't have a true number one. We are dying because we don't have that number one. And on top of not having a number one, even with our Hall of Fame running back, we don't have a running game. You're set up to fail as an offense when you have these pieces. And that was prevalent today. But I have to give a shout out to Sam Bradford because it's not his fault. And I feel bad for the guy. Philadelphia is not doing much better where he was. Actually, they're doing worse than we are. But this has got to be so frustrating if you're Sam Bradford.
Yeah, you're coming out and you're doing what you got to do to win, and it's just not happening.
Mm-hmm. Especially, like I said, after that 5-0 start at the beginning of the season where he was looking really good.
Doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a lifetime ago.
Gosh.
Absolute lifetime ago.
But if you don't mind, Adam, I'll transition. I will talk all day long. I want to talk about the receiving core because I'm giving my game ball away there. Bradford, like I said, threw 42 passes today. He spread the ball around. Kyle Rudolph gets my game ball, 8 receptions, 97 yards, no touchdown. He did have a nice long one over the middle. We were talking about how Kyle Rudolph doesn't seem to want to push for yards after the catch, but the one after in the middle of the field, I will say for the stuff that he doesn't do as far as yards after the catch and trying to break tackles, he does catch a lot of balls in traffic. He knows he's going to get lit up. So Kyle Rudolph, you get my game ball today for making a couple grabs and having almost 100-yard performance. Surprisingly, Jerick McKinnon had the most receptions, 59 yards, Charles Johnson made an appearance today, 5 catches, 50 yards. Cordero Patterson got 5 catches as well, 49 yards. Matt Asiata with 1 for 20. Stephon Diggs, he was covered pretty well all day today. 2 catches, 13 yards. Jarius Wright and Adrian Peterson both got a catch for 2 yards and 1 yard respectively. So, like I said earlier, it's not Sam Bradford. He's passing the ball around. He's trying to get it to everybody. Really surprising stat of the day, Adam Thielen didn't have a catch.
Oh, he got caught all right with a nice shot right to the helmet that took him out of the game.
That was terrible. That was a hell of a hit.
It was. He's currently undergoing concussion protocol as far as I know. But there are some pretty other cool stats from the receiving today. A lot of Jerick McKinnon's catches were in garbage time when the defense was let off a bit, but that did lead to him catching all 9 of the footballs thrown his way. Meanwhile, Charles Johnson had a couple catches earlier in the game that were contested pretty well, and he did bring them in. And we all know that Charles Johnson's one of his problems has been catching contested passes, so seeing him catch a couple in traffic was pretty nice.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, really quick, if it wasn't for that penalty, I actually was going to give a game ball to Charles Johnson just for coming out and like being a factor in the game.
Yeah.
But that penalty, and then he kind of made up for it on the next play afterwards. And whatever, it's football, it evens out. But he does deserve a bit of a shout out this week.
Yeah, it was nice to see. Kyle Rudolph, 10 targets, 8 catches. The last couple of weeks, I've been joking that he only catches half of the balls thrown his way. So seeing that ratio up there a little higher makes me happy.
That's part of the reason I went with it as well. Glad to see him catching more than just half the balls thrown his way.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I like him a lot as a tight end, but it's just this. Immediately, he seems to go down as soon as he catches a pass. It's like he's a big dude. He ought to be able to run over some of these defensive backs and linebackers and whatnot. It's like I don't know. But he's got a big catch radius, and he does make plays for us. So you can't hate on him too much.
That is true. 2 fumbles in this game, the Adrian Peterson one where he just had defenders all around him ripping at the football. And I don't care how strong your arm is. When one arm gets taken off and you've got guys prying at one arm holding onto a football, you got to get down, do your best to get down before that ball gets out because that's a tough situation. On the other hand, Sam Bradford's fumble came when the defender just really didn't seem to want to protect his blind side. That was TJ Clemmings that let a man through and just slapped the ball right out of his hands on a nice strip sack.
That's why I didn't want to double down on that. Adam gave the donkey to TJ. So did I. TJ was getting worked today because of that fumble from Bradford, which I believe didn't the Colts recover that one as well? I'm
yes,
almost
sir.
positive they did. Yeah, it was awful. I know Bradford probably wants to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker, and I feel like he maybe could have thrown it away at that point, but we all know he's not Teddy. He can't run around as much as we would like. I don't want that guy running around. He's fragile as glass. So I would like to see him get rid of it. But, yeah, that was awful too. It was so, so frustrating. And talking about the Adrian Peterson fumble, I can't get it started. I'm damned if I do because I made the argument a couple weeks ago that he's getting paid almost $8 million this season. But, man, does this guy fumble at the freaking worst times. We had a nice drive going and we were about to score. Further frustrations only lead back to my previous arguments. See any other episode of the show.
Tommy Gunn makes an interesting point in the chat. Basketball players have no after-contact play. And I was sitting there thinking about that a little bit, and he really isn't that far off. Maybe it's because they're taught to be finesse players on the basketball court, and they focus more on their catching radius and soft hands and that sort of thing, keeping their feet in bounds. And maybe just that kind of mindset from basketball carries over onto the football field. I don't know. But I'm thinking about that, and that's a pretty accurate statement.
I like it.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, we had a stat that you never want to see. Your backup safety led the team in tackles with 15, Anthony Harris.
Yep.
Not a good sign. That means that players are getting through your defense, getting pretty deep. Not a good sign. But the second leading tackler was Linval Joseph, who was being a monster at the line of scrimmage and was eating up anything he could.
So by default, everyone's going to hate me when I give him my donkey award. But, I mean, for that one play, We hold him to a field goal, and then he jumps over top the center, and then suddenly we give them the ball back on like the 1 yard line or 3 yard line or whatever, and then they go in and they score. That was it was over from that point on in the game.
Linval Joseph's a 300-pound man, and he thought he could vault right over him. And maybe this is something they worked on in practice or something, and just wanted to see if they could do. This was not the situation.
Around it. If it was Anthony Barr, he's big, fast, athletic guy, I could see him clearing over the center. But man, it's just it's like watching a bulldog jump on the couch. Man, I was like, this is not going to end well. And of course, it was on a 3rd down. So yeah, I totally get it. I was happy with him early on. I was watching him stuff the run as best he could as a single man in there. But yeah, that penalty was awful, and it led from 3 points to eventually 7. So that was super frustrating.
Yeah, that was tough. Otherwise, we had some more tacklers here. Eric Hendricks with 9, Sendejo 7, Rhodes with 6, Greenway and Steven with 4, and Terrence Newman with 3. Terrence Newman did leave the game for a little while with an injury, and while Trey Waynes was also absent in this game, the Vikings found themselves pretty desperate at the cornerback position. And it's weird to say this, but not having Trey Waynes out there, you could feel the difference.
You're going to be calling Benny Sapp up here in a minute.
That's true. It's definitely true.
No, you're right, though, Adam. You could the defense looked, flat and depleted out there today. Not having Harrison Smith. I mean, there's a point where you can only overcome so many injuries on this team, and this is the product of that.
Absolutely. Defensive side of the ball here. Still, we got passes defended, not good. We had 3 of those in the game. Captain Munnerlyn knocked one down. Terrence Newman knocked one down. Anthony Harris got in there for 1. No sacks on the day, which is very disappointing considering that the Colts are supposed to have this patchwork offensive line where they pulled up guys from their practice squad to play. Just absolutely disappointing on that front.
Every other team has patchwork offensive line that gets the job done in Minnesota. Just, I don't know. It's frustrating, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And only 2 hits on the quarterback all day. Brian Robinson got 1. Tom Johnson got 1. And that about sums it up for the defense, to be honest.
It was sloppy. Like I said earlier, the time of possession was awful. And I hate to say it because I would never compare this kid to Peyton Manning, but he did play there, and he's already number 3 all time for some weird stat that the announcers couldn't stop talking about today. But Andrew Luck kind of picked the defense apart today, which is really, really it was frustrating. I was like, how? Because I assumed I know how good Andrew Luck could be, but I thought he was in a slump. And then I looked at the record. I read up on this week of all the analysts' review. They say, hey, the Vikings D-line should make work of this patchwork offensive line. I knew it would be a close game. You can never count this kid out. He's sneaky athletic too, but he made plays with his arm. He made plays with his legs. The defense just, like I said earlier to start the show, it looked flat, man. They were absolutely flat. And I'm reading on my phone right now the headline for Mike Zimmer's press conference is, I want to find someone in this team who will fight. So might not be too far off from how he felt as well.
Let's talk about the time of possession, because I believe going into halftime, the Vikings had the ball for less than 7 minutes.
Yep.
And at the end of the game, it was a balance of 37 minutes Indy, 37:02, to 22:58 for the Vikings, which is not good. The Vikings turned the ball over 3 times, and they picked up absolutely 0 rushing first downs in the game.
It's horrible. Horrible, horrible. I don't know how to explain it or what has happened to this team.
We're going to be forced to have a crazy offseason. I'm telling you right now. Having to worry about – everybody's going to worry about Teddy. We already know the timeline for recovery. We've got to – I'm going to stop this now. I'm going to get into this shortly, but the running game. I'm telling you, something's got to give here, because we're dead last and we're terrible, and I don't know what to think of it, because for the last 10 years, that's all we've done. Run the ball and then figure it out through the air. I don't understand it.
We got a question in the chat about the Vikings run defense, and to be honest, this game wasn't very uncharacteristic of other Vikings games run defense. It was continuing to be the same kind of struggles with pounding the football with Frank Gore and Robert Turbin, but that There was one play where Robert Turbin should have been tackled for a loss, and he spun off two guys, bounced off another, then ran through some arm tackles to the end zone. And I was sitting there on Twitter. I was furious.
Yeah, that was a highlight run, and it wasn't for us. It was pretty awful to watch.
Yeah, not a good day all around. The running game, the run defense, nothing was really working right until the Colts got a big enough lead and played off a bit, and the Vikings got to eat up some sympathy yards. So this is a really disheartening loss right here.
Garbage time stats there at the end. They pad everything out and make it look okay on paper.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my game ball went to nobody I've mentioned so far, which I don't remember which one of these guys it was, so I've got to check the notes here.
We haven't done special teams yet.
Oh, you doubled up on me. Well, I'll change mine then.
Yeah, we'll just do special teams here really quick. I gave mine to kicker Kai Forbath, who continues to hit all his field goals. He was 2 for 2. Today he hit a 51-yard field goal, his longest of the season for the team. Otherwise, Jeff Locke looked pretty good out there punting. He had a long of 52 yards as well. So good stuff from the special teams today.
Yeah, my game ball went to Jeff Locke, even though he only punted 3 times. He did get that average of 48.7 up there, and 2 of them landed inside the 20. He had some nice bounces, nice angles on them. He switched it up a little bit with low kicks to high kicks. Really creative way of keeping him in the game and helping to give the Vikings field position, even though, to be honest, in the long run, it really didn't matter.
Didn't really matter. Mike Prefer must have got on them.
Oh, so frustrating. And next week, things are going to get even rougher because the Minnesota Vikings are heading on the road to Green Bay. Adrian Peterson has already announced that he's playing in that game.
Good for him. He's under contract. He should.
Hey, I just read it. I don't say it.
I mean, honestly, he doesn't get to say that he's not playing. I mean,
that was my biggest thing about all that. It pissed me off.
It's Mike Zimmer's decision.
Yeah. He could tell you to sit down. He doesn't think you're ready. You didn't look good in practice. Or he could be like, hey, we're making a playoff push. Get your ass out there.
You're under contract.
I had to Google it because everything, all the numbers are skewed. I know at one point in time we looked on the podcast one week to see the top paid players on the team, which were Matt Khalil and Adrian Peterson, not in that order. Said something around $12 million. I asked Siri, and Siri pulled up Adrian Peterson's starting salary, $7.75 million this year, which is still a ton of money, but I don't know where the 12 came into. I don't know if that's with incentives or what. I guess this is the guaranteed money she's talking about. But either way, he's making right at $8 million, and I was still pissed off about that. But into my mini rant, into the bold statement. I know we can preview the Packers all day long, even though I don't want to because they're looking like they're trending upward while we go down the pooper. Bold statement of the week. Never thought I'd say this, but holy crap, I miss Matt Khalil. Woo!
Yeah.
After watching TJ Clemmings just get wrecked today, I was super irritated. And my thing is, I don't want to say, like Adam said, to just completely cunt the guy, waive him, whatever you do, you trade him. I want to see if Andre Smith comes back, if TJ can beat him outright and stay at right tackle. If you can't start at one position, I understand the injuries. I understand we had to do a lot of shuffling this year. But if the guy can't be a clear starter and someone else can, I don't know what to do with him. I miss Matt Khalil, and I never thought I'd say that. We better side him back because trying to pick up people off the street is not going to work. Didn't work well with the Jake Long situation either. Sorry he got injured and all that, but he played like doo-doo until right up to when he was playing good, and then he's done because he hasn't played a game in forever. So
as soon as he got in the swing of things, that was when his injury happened.
I mean, that's the story of the season all day long. But back to the Adrian Peterson stuff, I think with everything that's mounting, I just really don't see how the Vikings can without him taking a significant pay cut. The guy's getting older, and I know this is stuff that the media beats in our heads that I hate hearing about because up until that point, he had proved us all wrong. He tears his ACL, wins the MVP rush for 2,000 yards, blah, 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 blah. He's out for the season for the stupid stuff, comes back last season, rushing title again. I was like, man, this guy's timeless. Adrian Peterson's not timeless. This is going to become a more and more consistent thing, and especially behind this offensive line. I don't know what else to say. We need to focus on patching the lineup and fixing it the way it needs to be. But honestly, I don't know what to say about it. Matt Asiata is not a starter, but I like him and Jerick McKinnon for the price that they have. If we can find someone else, whether it be in free agency or maybe we make a splash in the second round, I don't know. We can say all that for the offseason, but I don't like Adrian Peterson on this team anymore. I don't think that it's 2009, 2010 anymore, and I don't think you can just force him into running because he's just not the same player anymore. I'm not saying he's a bum. He'd make some other team very happy, but for the price and his effectiveness, and today, I know today the loss wasn't on him. It's collective effort. Everybody was terrible. But yet again, look at the playoff game last year. Fumbles at the worst possible time, and like you said, I understand a lot of people are jumping on you, whatever. Get down. Stop trying to be a hero. Turn it over at the 18 or the 8 of us. We're about to score. I'm tired of having Adrian Peterson on the team. And I know I was bitching a week ago saying, oh, you make all this money and you need to play, blah, 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 blah. I get it. Ride these 2 games out. I hope you score 20 touchdowns in 2 games for us and we go to the postseason. But we all know that's not going to happen. So telling you guys, we might be seeing the last of 28 in purple.
If I'm being honest, I'm looking up and down the roster and I don't see a single left tackle on the list.
It's bad.
They're playing right tackles at left tackle, and the people out there that say that offensive linemen are a dime a dozen, you can get a good one in free agency or the later rounds of the draft, that is absolutely a gamble. These are talented players who you need to. And although people want to give all the success in the world to Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott down in Dallas, it's those hogs on the offensive line that are just slapping people around.
100%.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Adam, because you look at that and you remember when Dallas was just slaughtered by the media when they drafted offensive line over top of Johnny Manziel.
Oh, yeah.
And all those other things where they just got worse. They traded up for a center, and it was the worst trade in NFL history, just based on the value and whatnot. And now everyone's saying, "Oh my God, look at their offensive line and just line Ellen." Well, why doesn't every team do this?
Because it was the trend, man. It was the value trend trades so often. And yes, I did want David Yankee as a lineman. Of course, I did. Because he was a road grader, and I didn't anticipate that his injuries would happen, and the whole thing happens. I get all that, I do. But the Vikings do need to start spending a couple more draft picks early on offensive linemen, and it's a situation that really needs to get fixed soon.
I don't know of any running backs or offensive linemen that are going to be free agents. I know the list will be out in a couple of months, but we need to really focus on that. In my humble opinion, I really want to go on a rant about it all, but in a very short summed up thing, I don't think Pat Shurmur is the answer at offensive coordinator. I think, like Adam said, we need to highly focus on offensive linemen. Since we don't have a first round pick, I think we have 2 seconds. Spend both of them on offensive linemen. Do it. Who cares? Is there any other emphasis that is that high up on the list for this team? Like I said earlier, we need a true number 1 wide receiver. We need a Julio Jones and an Antonio Brown on this team. We don't have it. And I'm not taking anything away from Diggs. I think we have a nice little core of receivers. Rudy catches passes. Diggs, when he's I won't say always injured, but he has a couple times where he gets injured. He's a threat always. Adam Thielen just came out. He's having a career year. But we don't have a true number 1. And then the Adrian –
We don't know –
Go ahead.
And we don't know a thing about Laquan Treadwell either.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen nothing of Treadwell, whether it be due to injuries or being a rookie and we're not playing him or not knowing the playbook or whatever reason. So we have him out there. That's a giant question mark as well too. For the offensive line, I do think they've got some decent. I like Nick Easton at center. I think Alex Boone is pulling it together. You give him an off season and another training camp to work with the team and get some structure around him. I think he'll be fine. I think you're going to hear a lot of fans talking about trading for the left tackle from Cleveland.
That conversation is going to keep going. It's It's going to be a lot of Joe Thomas talk.
Yep. My prediction, I don't think that's going to happen just because, well, we've already given up a first, and we're already kind of hurting for draft picks. I don't think we're going to be giving up any draft picks to make a big splashy move like that, but it depends on how much this team is in win-now mode with Sam Bradford and, what they plan on doing, with his contract. And, over the next couple games, you do have to get a little back onto Peterson. You have to play him a little bit, and you have to kind of see what you have in Adrian Peterson, and if you think that can work going forward, or whether it's time to cut ties and move on from him. That's going to be a big which way this team is going to go for, I think. If they... go on, Adam.
But let's slow the roll on that for a minute, because we're talking draft, free agency, salary cap, free agency, trades, whatever. The Vikings still have a chance to make the playoffs as a wild card team. The shot is still there. Although it's slim now, there is still a chance. And until that chance is gone, I'm not really willing to sit down and start talking more about draft evaluations, possible free agents, trade targets, whatever. I'm not ready for that. I'm still hoping that we'll be sitting here talking about a wild card game for the Vikings.
Of course. If they can find a way into the playoffs, as well as I do. There was a Denver team with Tim Tebow at quarterback that won a playoff game. So anything is possible when you get in. Like, it really is one game at a time. What was a Giants team a couple years back that snuck into the wild card, ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So you never know what can happen. Like, it's a good point, Adam. Let's not discredit the team. I know a lot of us are super frustrated after this game because it feels like season over mentality.
It does. It feels like all hope is gone, but it's really not. There's still a chance. And this team needs to get itself back together and just prepare itself to hit the road and go to Green Bay. That's what absolutely has to happen. And that is, I think, do you guys have a social media question?
Not this week.
Alrighty.
We'll come up with one. I'll figure something out for tonight. I'm going to push it out for stuff to talk about. I just want to tell everybody, please be safe. I'm traveling to Virginia. I'm traveling to North Carolina at the end of the week. Christmas is next weekend. It's a week from today. So enjoy the holidays with your families, whatever you celebrate. Be safe out there. I know there's a lot of shitty weather going on, but we will be playing on Saturday, which is going to be a short week for us. We're going to play Christmas Eve. I believe it's at 1 o'clock, if my memory serves me correctly. On Saturday, we're going to be in Green Bay at Lambeau. This is going to be a tough game. See Seattle from last week and how cold it was. So we'll see how it is, but who knows? Maybe we can squeak out a win there. We did it last year with Teddy, so we'll see what happens. But just want to tell everybody to be safe and happy holidays, and we will see you on the podcast after that game. Probably not that day or Christmas, but we'll be back soon after, and I will post a social media question at some point tonight.
Yeah, the Vikings-Packers game is at noon on Fox. Let's talk a second about the Survival Football League. If the Atlanta Falcons pull off a win here, and so can the New Orleans Saints, which is looking fairly good for both of them right now, we are going to have a week where everybody goes through with a win. The Survival League is getting really tough, though. We got a lot of guys that are just pushing through for that big prize. We got guys pushing through, got guys who do stuff. Is that enough got guys stuff? There's a guy. Here's a guy.
Yes.
Well, here's a guy.
But we still have 3 with no strikes. Jesus, the Purple People Eaters, and Purple Waynes. You've got me, Bleeds Purple, the Aussie Viking, with 1 strike, and Yin Yang, SB Homeboy, Scoldger Nation, Viking Pride, and Zimzam Can't Be Flim Flammed with 2 strikes.
You had Walking Dead withdrawal tonight, Adam?
I definitely am. It'd be worse if there wasn't a WWE pay-per-view tonight. At least I get a Roadblock end of the line to help me through.
I was just looking at my clock down here, and I was like, oh, Walking Dead's going to be starting here in a couple hours. Oh, that's right. Don't have that. Don't have Evil Dead. Vikings lost. Today sucks. It's cold outside.
Yeah, if it weren't for the wrestling pay-per-view tonight, I'd probably be pretty down. But I'm winning my fantasy football league in the wild card of the playoffs, so big thumbs up there.
Who'd you start at running back?
My starting running backs were Frank Gore.
Good choice.
I know. And then I picked up, what the hell was his name? You put me on the spot here.
Yeah, do what I can.
Let me just pull it up. I got it right here in front of me. Got to pull up Team Gronky Kong Country. I figure I won't change that.
Gronky Kong. That's amazing.
Oh, I picked up Bilal Powell.
Oh, yeah, they played last night.
Yeah, 162 yards. Not bad. Not too bad at all. Alshon Jeffrey came out and had a touchdown, helping me out. It's going to be me against one of my best friends in the finals in this league, and I'm already in the money, so big thumbs up there.
Yeah.
Gotta love when you're in the money. And I'm going to check the chat one more time before we take off here. And driving to Minnesota, hoping to get off early on Friday. Good stuff there, but don't tell my parents. They hope they don't listen to the show. Oh, my mom loves you guys. Oh, crap. So she is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we went and ruined that. Maybe we'll go back and edit that out. No, we won't.
It's live. There is no edit.
Yep, it's all done from here. All right, though. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. We got some pretty cool people in the chat here, always joining us. Head on over to the Viking Age. You can check out my work there, as well as on Undead Walking. You got Kyle West Photography. You've got Kyle Smith's Music. Make sure to check out both of those. You can get links to those on our Facebook page, or you can add Purple People Pod us on your Twitter machines to get in contact with us. And remember to stay classy in Minnesota.